When I was 7 years old, I knew my mom only crying from pain. Crying from pain that she couldn't bear anymore. Because she had gallbladder stones, over 160 stones. And the gallbladder was ready to burst. So they did an emergency surgery, which they messed up. They gave her blood, and with that blood they gave her hepatitis C. The hepatitis C turned into liver cirrhosis. The liver cirrhosis turned into liver cancer in a terminal state. And when I was 12 years old, they told my mom she has a maximum of 6 months to 2 years to live. She should learn to live with the pain. And she should do the best or make the best out of the couple of weeks or months she has left. There's nothing they can do. Nobody ever got cured from liver cancer in a terminal state. There's no treatment and there's no help. I know my mom only crying from pain and the emergency doctor coming twice a day, shooting morphine into her so that she could cry a little bit less. We're not talking about stopping here. My physical father just left because he said he doesn't want a sick wife. The born rebel that I am, I said, we're not going to take this laying down. So I started to read every book a 12-year-old could understand about health. I started to talk about people, with people that were sick and got healthy again. Everybody that was willing to talk to a teenager, I talked to. I learned about herbology, I learned about teas, I learned about nutrition, I learned about hypnotherapy, I learned about acupressure, and every single thing I learned, I tried on my mom. Our 86-year-old semi-retired family doctor sat down with me and explained to me the relationships with health and illness. And we tried everything. Later, I worked before school in subway-like situations, and they cleaned restaurants. And after school, the same, to support me and my mom financially because we had nothing to eat. From the little bit more money I made, I started to visit workshops and applied everything I could to my mom. And 1 year, and the next year, and the next year went on, and my mom was still alive. She got a little bit better, she wasn't cured. And every day when I came back from school, the very first thing I did, I opened up the bedroom door to see if my mom is still alive. And all day long in school, the only thought I had, from the minute I arrived till the minute I left, is my mom still alive when I come home. To make a very long story very short, my mom today is 74 years old and one of the healthiest people you will ever meet in your life. Thank you. But let me tell you about genetic cancers. All 7 siblings of my mom had cancer. My father died of cancer. My grandmother died of cancer. My stepfather died of cancer. There is nobody out there in this world that will ever know even 1% about cancer and the effects on the patient and the family members that I know. Nobody. And ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you why I'm here and why I'm here today. My grandmother brought 8 children as a refugee through the Second World War. My grandmother was an emergency nurse and a midwife and spent her retirement time taking care of mentally handicapped children for free. This strong woman, strongest woman I ever met in my life, had a cancerous lymph nodes in her breast for 28 years. It didn't grow, it didn't hurt, it didn't do anything. Until a young doctor taught my talked my grandmother into surgery. After that surgery, my grandmother started dying the most horrible death you can even imagine over a period of 2 years. From the chemotherapy, her skin was broken open and it oozed out. When you went into the hospital room, your tears were running from the chemotherapy that was in the room. You couldn't even breathe in there. That was my grandmother. When she died, her arm was so big that it didn't fit in the casket anymore. And when my grandmother died, and my mom and I stood next to her, and we said to the doctor, what happened? And he said, we did not think it would happen that fast. And I turned around and I said, you knew it's going to happen? And he said, of course. If we take that many lymph nodes out and we do all of this, chemotherapy and radiation, of course it will turn out like this. We just didn't think it would happen that fast. And I said, you knew this and you did this to my grandmother? And he said, we had to take the chance. Screw you. And that is why I'm here today, to prevent each and every one of you guys from the same mistakes, from the same errors. They killed my grandfather, who came back from a Nazi concentration camp because he wasn't willing to kill his Jewish neighbors, so they put him in a concentration camp. It was the American soldiers that saved him. And he was a coal miner, and he had a black lung. So he had all kind of breathing problems all his life. One day they put him in a hospital just for observations. They didn't really have time for him, so they put him in a bathroom that was not heated in the winter time in Germany, where it's really, really cold in the winter. And they forgot about him for 2 days. And of course he was dead when they found him. So I have a slight problem with the medical profession.